Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Creatnprocess. Today we'll be working on this origin graphic design. To get this design, we'll first create a cylindrical tube from ellipse using Extrude Bevel option. Then we'll duplicate a multiple number of tubes by setting the center to the origin. We'll add shadows, textures and patterns to give it a dynamic look. But before we begin, thanks to Wix for sponsoring this episode. With Wix, you can create your own website very easily without having any coding knowledge. It offers hundreds of amazing templates which are easily customizable. You can create simple, professional and beautiful websites by adding photos and video galleries and 3D effects. You can go to wix.com or check out the link in the description. It's easy and free. So let's begin the tutorial. Open a new Illustrator document. Select the ellipse tool and draw a small circle. We'll change the fill color to light gray and change the stroke color to light gray. Next, change stroke thickness to 0.25 points, then go to Filter, 3D, Extrude Bevel. This will open the Extrude Bevel panel. Here we'll set the perspective angle of the cylinder. Set the perspective value to 114 degree and the extrude depth value to around 822 points. This will give us a long cylinder with a perspective depth. Adjust the angle of rotation and the perspective value a little bit. Next, we'll expand the cylinder, so go to Object, Expand Appearance. Ungroup it. And we got a separate objects. Select the top 3 pieces and move it aside. Then select the rest and delete it. Now select the gradient shape and expand it on the Pathfinder to make it a fill object. Let's give light gray color to the shape and the circle. Double click on the ring to edit the inner circle. Select the inner circle and scale it down. This will increase the thickness of the ring. Then change the color to white. Next, add a gradient color to the shape. Adjust the gradient direction parallel to the shape using the gradient tool. Set the left slider value to around 12% and the right slider value to around 26%. Next, create a duplicate of the shape using the shortcut Command or Control C to copy and Command or Control F to paste in front. For this, we'll add one more slider to the gradient. We'll make the corner slider darker and the center slider white. Then set the gradient direction perpendicular to the shape. This will add a volume to the cylinder. Next, on the transparency panel, change the layer mode to overlay and reduce the layer opacity to around 66%. Adjust the gradient slider to add a darker tone. Now select all the shape and group it up. Then using the rotate tool, set the anchor point to the corner of the inner side. Now with the Alt press, just click and drag to create a duplicate. Using the shortcut Command or Control D, you can create multiple number of duplicates of the cylinder. Next, with the selection tool, displace all the cylinder randomly. Select individual tubes and displace their position. Now select all the shapes and group it up. We'll add more cylinders, so create a duplicate using the shortcut Command or Control C and Command or Control F. Scale up the size and rotate it to an angle. Then right click and arrange it to back. Now we'll do random displacement for each of the new cylinders. Try to fill up the empty spaces while displacing the shape. Next, select both the group and ungroup it. Now select a bunch of cylinders and create a duplicate. Make sure to sand it to back. In this way, we'll duplicate more cylinders and fill up the space. Make sure to delete out the extra cylinders. Finally, we got a cluster of cylindrical tubes. Next, we'll add shadows, so create a circle using the ellipse tool. Fill it up with black color. Then go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. Set the radius value around 68 pixels. Then click OK. We'll change the layer mode to multiply and send the circle backward using the shortcut Command or Control open square bracket. Increase the size and set the opacity to 38%. Create one more duplicate of the circle and scale up the size. We'll send this more backward. This way we are adding shadows and layers. Create one more duplicate of larger size. Adjust the position and again send it backward using the shortcut Command or Control open square bracket. Let's adjust the individual circles. Select the first circle, increase the size and set the opacity to 15%. Select the second circle, increase the size and set the opacity to 21%. Lastly, the third shadow circle. Shift the circle to the left side. Also make sure to change all the shadow layers to multiply. Now we'll do the further adjustments in Photoshop. Open a new Photoshop document. Select the vector design and drag and drop it to Photoshop. Scale up the size and press Enter. Next, create a duplicate of the smart object. Change the layer mode to multiply and set the opacity to 27%. Create one more duplicate of the smart object. This time, we'll use this layer to create a shadow. So change the layer mode to subtract. This will give us a silhouette of the design. Now go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. Set the radius around 23 pixels and reduce the opacity to 12%. Next, select the ellipse tool and draw a circle on the top. Give fill color black and remove this stroke. We'll use this shape to add shadows on the origin area. Under Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, set the radius value around 88.4 pixels. Then change the layer mode to multiply and reduce the opacity to 28%. Now double click and open the layer style panel for this layer. We'll add a pattern overlay, so set a suitable pattern, set the opacity to 16% and scale the size to 57%. We'll hide the shadow layer for a while. Now add a new curve adjustment layer. Set the red curve, green curve, blue curve and lastly the RGB curve. Next, add a hue and saturation adjustment layer. We'll add little greenish tone, so set the value to -33, saturation to 23 and the lightness to +2. Now let's add brightness and contrast adjustment layer. We'll add little contrast to the overall design, set the brightness value to around -3 and the contrast to 8. Now unhide the shadow layer and scale up the size. Next, choose gray color from the color picker and apply it to the background layer. We'll also add a pattern overlay under layer style panel. Adjust the opacity, scale and choose a perfect pattern for the background. We have given the opacity 2% to see a very light texture. We have also scaled up the size of the smart object and the shadow. Next, we'll add a focus to the design, so add an iris blur under Filter, Blur Gallery to the main smart object layer. Using iris blur, we can focus the central region and defocus the surrounding area. Increase the size to cover the whole cylindrical design. We'll set the blur value around 11 and adjust the range of focus by adjusting the small circular icon, then click OK. We got a nice depth of field. After this, we'll do some more adjustments under curve adjustment layer to add little contrast and details. We'll also change the background color to a little more darker. Next, draw a circle using the ellipse tool, choose black color and add a stroke under FX to open layer style panel. Change the color to white, opacity to 40 and the size to 24 pixels. Next, draw a rectangle using the rectangle tool. Set the position to the center of the document. You can use rulers to get the accurate dimensions. Next, using the Add Anchor Point tool, add 2 anchor points on both sides of the rectangle. Now using Die Selection tool, drag both the anchor point inside and with Convert Point tool, break the points. This will give us a nice pointed ends. Increase the size a little bit. Next, type out a text. Choose Rockwell Condensed Regular Font for both graphic and design. Type Origin, give Scarpa LT Ultra Light Font, scale down the size and position it to the center. Next, using the Polygon tool, we'll make a star. Here take star and give 5 sides. Give fill color white, change the angular rotation and scale down the size. We'll create few more duplicates and arrange them properly. Next, if you want to edit the drop shadow between the cylinders, we can do that by editing the smart object. Double click and it will be open in Illustrator. Here again, you can adjust the shadow layers with their size and opacity. Then save it. It will be updated in your main file. Finally, we have completed creating an origin graphic design. During this process, we have used various new techniques. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Don't forget to check out the next tutorial coming up. And if you want more updates on designing, don't forget to like, share and subscribe this channel. Thank you.